Hey everybody, as you know, there's been a tremendous amount of chaos happening as of late, and I wanted to do this unscripted vlog to take a moment to talk about all those things and to do what I can to do my part, which I'll talk about as I go through this. Again, this is an unscripted vlog, not the norm for what I do on Engage, and maybe if every so often I'll get in front of the camera and do this kind of thing. I know there's just been so many thoughts swirling around in my head, so many feelings in my heart. And if you know me personally, you know that I'm not the kind of person who rushes to speak before you think. So I needed to take some time to try and sort these things out. This is not scripted. I do have some notes here that I do want to make sure I touch upon. That's why I might be looking at my phone once in a while just to remember those things as I go along. Because there's quite a lot to say. So let me begin by just hoping that everyone watching this, that you're staying safe and healthy, especially if you are taking part in the protests to rightfully acknowledge that Black lives indeed do matter, and to promote anti-racism and to promote anti-bigotry and just, promoting love and coming together as we all should. I hope that you're staying safe despite everything we've been seeing about all the crazy agitators who are coming in to these different places where protests are happening, and they just try to rile things up by smashing things and doing other violent things. And it's a good thing that, as we were talking about in the previous episode of Engage, it's a good thing that a lot of people have been recording what's going on with all these cameras that we're walking around with all the time, so that people can cross-check all kinds of resources. It's so important to cross-check the information we all receive anytime on any subject anywhere, so that we all know that what's really happening, that these protests are starting out peacefully as they should. People are just trying to exercise their First Amendment rights to assemble and to do something to fight for justice and fight for what's right. And we know that these other people who are coming in who are just trying to wreck what they're doing and make it look like they're violent, we know the truth that that's not really happening. So I hope if you're watching this, that if you're going out to the protests, that you're able to be safe. Hopefully you're not getting hurt by these people, and hopefully that you're not getting hurt also by some police out there who are really just crossing the line, as we all know, with police brutality and kettling and other really crazy, irresponsible practices that are doing nothing but riling up people and making them feel cornered and unsafe. Obviously, so many people have spoken out about how a lot of these terrible practices have been happening for some time, and but the good thing is that more and more people are standing up and demanding change, and change is starting to come, and part of that change is to demand that funding be reallocated to different programs to support education and community outreach programs. If even 5%, 10% of what's normally allocated for police budgets and the military on a broad federal level, if even tiny little percents of that were actually dedicated to education and community outreach programs, we probably wouldn't need, such intense police forces or military forces. Of course, we need some degree of police and military to keep our towns and our cities and our country as a whole safe, just like any sovereign nation. But we need to support education, we need to support community outreach efforts, and anybody who's seen my show before knows how much I'm an advocate for those things. I also hope, of course, that everybody is still staying safe from the pandemic, because the pandemic is still going on. COVID-19 has not gone away, and I don't know how anybody can successfully protest while maintaining social distancing and that sort of thing. The answer, obviously, is you can't. You can go out there and you can wear a mask, but the mask is only to try and protect other people from the spread of any germs that you might have, not the other way around most of the time. The vast majority of masks don't actually protect you from receiving germs. But obviously, taking part of these protests is incredibly important, as we all need to stand for anti-racism causes and to stand for love and to stand for education and community outreach and so forth. So it's an exceedingly difficult time for anybody to make that tough decision on what to do, and we can't all be there, obviously. I wanted to refer to a great tweet I saw the other day by, I hope I don't mispronounce this user's name, but Lindis Tastic. She said that resistance is not a one-lane highway. Maybe your lane is protesting, maybe your lane is organizing, maybe your lane is counseling. Maybe your lane is art activism. Maybe your lane is surviving the day. And she says, do not feel guilty for not occupying every lane. We need all of them. And something else I saw on Twitter that really speaks to this and is really, speaks well to what I do on this show, Engage, is somebody, there wasn't anybody whose credit was attributed to this, so I don't know who created this, but somebody who created this graphic called Welcome to Protesting, and it really frames what you could do to help support these causes in an RPG format, which is, again, is just perfect for the game-based learning that we promote. This is really what we're talking about when we're talking about authentic, situated, game-based learning. So you could choose your class here. Of course, if you are the fighter class, are those who are marching in all these demonstrations. But we also have a tank, the people who put your body between the vulnerable and the cops' attacks. My favorite class has been the rogues, who are the K-pop fans out there who have taken over hateful hashtags and just swarmed it with all kinds of K-pop fandom. And I just find that incredibly hilarious and wonderful. And it's no small coincidence that usually in a tabletop RPG, I tend to gravitate towards the rogue role, which is more of the stealthy, sneaky kind of approach to supporting your party. So, big ups to all the K-pop fans out there. It's really fantastic your work you guys are doing. But then we also have healers, providing medical support and supplies to protesters, bards, who are spreading the word and helping members of other classes to keep their spirits and mental health up. If ever there was a time for bards, we need bards out there for sure, and that's where all the musicians and the artists are on Twitch and other streaming platforms are really saving the day, and we need art and music now more than ever. The chemists who are out there who are providing food and needed supplies to communities targeted by police and agitators. We're also going to need a lot of the chemist class as we get closer to election day, and people are going to be lining up all around the block everywhere to cast their votes. And then we have the wizards, using your technical skills and platform to keep the lines of communication going and inform people. That's where I am right now. I'm trying to be a wizard here, and really I feel like any educator worth their salt is a wizard all the time. We work all kinds of magic in and out of the classroom, distance learning or in person. We do it all. That's the magic we're all trying to work, so I'm joining the wizard class for this round. And then of course the support casters, who keep your allies strong by donating money and or time to bail funds, protest organizations, and so forth. No matter your skills and resources, there's a class for you to play and a role for you to fill, and that's what's so important to know in this time. So I wanted to boost the signal of that message too, especially, thinking about that support caster role. That's just something that the tens of millions of us out there who are unemployed, that unfortunately includes me right now as well, who would love to donate to all kinds of organizations that people are boosting the signal about, but we just can't afford it right now. So if you can fill that support caster class, that's fantastic. But if you can't, there are other roles that we can all play. On that subject of education, a wonderful history educator out there by the name of Erica Buddington, at Erica Buddington on Twitter, posted an incredible thread everybody should check out as a starting point to understanding. As she said, this thread is for those of you struggling to comprehend that the recent murders are just a fraction of racial violence in the United States. We are protesting for George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, and hundreds of years of oppression. Let's begin your history lesson. This is where it all needs to happen. This is where education, this is why education is so important. And obviously in schools today in the humanities, we've talked about how important it is to support the humanities a lot on this channel. And In terms of learning about history, teachers are under all kinds of pressure to cover certain things in their curriculum as mandated by their state and whatnot. But you as a parent or you as a concerned citizen of this country, if you're not happy with the way that history is being taught in classrooms, well, that's where we need your voice to demand from our political bodies and institutions out there that more of this kind of history is emphasized in schools, and we need that. We're gonna do everything we can, as I said before, in that wizard class, in the RPG sense. We're gonna do all we can to work our magic and incorporate this curriculum in, but we need your voice as well to demand it. And there have been a lot of great resources shared out there, which I'll share in the description below for anti-racist curricula, and we want to make sure, of course, that the curricula that we use is age appropriate depending on whatever grade level you're working with. My role, of course, on this show, Engage, is to promote game-based learning. That's what this show is all about, and that also means to promote the educators out there and the game designers who are either collaborating or working on their own to innovate and create these creative approaches to learning that we need, because we need more opportunities for our young men and women out there to participate in authentic, situated learning experiences, kind of learning experiences that are natural, that have practical applications. So much of what happens in schools, traditionally speaking, is that we discuss all kinds of skills with kids, and their practical applications are not always so obvious and apparent. But when you're playing a game, like when you're playing the very first Super Mario Brothers and you're Mario running out in level 1-1, you learn right away that you have to jump over that first Goomba, because if you just run straight into the Goomba, you're going to die and get sent back to the beginning of the level. So you learn that skill to jump because there's a practical application of it. You need to use it right then and there in order to make progress. So what I look for the most to promote on this channel is to promote the game-based learning experiences where you're able to take things either from the games and apply them in those practical ways, or even better would be like an EduLARP or a Practomime or an ARG experience to have your entire course be a game from top to bottom, or at least part of it. And a thread by Elizabeth Hargrave and Eric Lane, two fantastic game designers out there, really caught my attention these past couple weeks, where I believe it was Eric Lang, who's the designer of Rising Sun, started posting about asking everybody the question, who's your favorite non-white game designer? Who's your favorite female game designer? Who's your favorite non-binary game designer? And so on and so forth. And, I posted on there that if I can do anything to promote those designers out there working in this space, particularly if they're working on a game that can be used in a learning environment like a school or some other distance learning experience. If I could promote a game like that, I would love to talk to you. And as Elizabeth Hargrave rightfully responded, don't expect posting this here to do it. It's on you to reach out and to book a diverse slate of people. And I responded, of course. I know it's on me to do the research, to do the legwork, as I always do, and to reach out to everyone. However, I would say there's one of me and an internet of you. So if you happen to be an educator out there or a game designer working on a fantastic game-based learning experience, I would love to help you boost the signal about the hard work that you're doing. And if you happen to find me first before I find you, by all means reach out at engage.show@gmail.com or at EngageShow on Twitter. I'm also going to fire up a Discord soon once I figure out all about how Discord works. So yes, it's on me to do the research first and to find you first as best as I can, but there's one of me and a whole world of you. So if you happen to find me first, go ahead and hit me up first, and I'll be happy to start a conversation with you. But I hope I find you first, but we'll see how this goes, right? There's a lot of hard work to be done. So in closing, I want to wrap this vlog up with a quote by a professor and the Holocaust survivor L.A. Wiesel, who wrote the book Night, and he said, "We must always take sides. Neutrality helps the oppressor, never the victim. Silence encourages the tormentor, never the tormented." So anything we can all do to rise up and speak up and demand better of our elected officials, our police forces, our educational system, anything we could do to rise up and demand better, we need to do. Anything that we can do to support those who are actively out there protesting, who are putting these organizations together to bring people together and promote anti-racism, promote coming together as a community, as we all should, and promote peace. Anything we could do to support those people, anything we could do to get out there and support people in a couple of months who are going to be lining up around the block to vote. So again, I hope everybody is staying safe, staying healthy, and that we can all come together to make all these things that need to happen. And that's it for now. And yeah, that's all I want to say for now. So thank you for watching. I hope this came together and made good sense, as I don't usually do things on this show that have been unscripted and more or less off the cuff. So thank you for watching, and hopefully we'll see you again soon.